What is the auditor's responsibility for identifying deficiencies? Hope you're having a good time as we're running through this lesson. Just as a side note, make sure you're stretching, make sure you are drinking coffee, you're getting some fruit in you, whatever you got to do to keep your body and mind sharp and healthy. Now, in an audit of financial statements, the auditor is not required to perform procedures to identify deficiencies in internal control or to express an opinion on the effectiveness of the internal control. Now, when we say audit here, we're talking normal audits. Obviously, we have, like I keep saying, other types of audits, which we have in other lessons, integrated audits and SOC reporting. Now, just as a normal audit, though, our job is for the financial statements. If an entity wants you to express an opinion on the effectiveness of internal control, you should hire the auditor for an integrated audit. We've got, like I mentioned throughout, it's a menu of different engagements, and depending on what the client wants, they're going to select whatever engagement they want from the menu. However, during the course of an audit, the auditor may become aware of deficiencies in internal control, as we mentioned earlier, while obtaining an understanding of the entity and its environment. And if the auditor is going to find any deficiencies, they are going to want to communicate those deficiencies to management. The auditor's awareness of these deficiencies in internal control varies with each audit and is influenced by the nature, timing, and extent of procedures performed. You may not be performing any procedures that are going to help you to find any deficiencies, but again, it's not your job to find those deficiencies. However, if you find some, you will communicate. Let's talk about deficiencies in design. As I mentioned, I'm going to drill it down. Management's responsible for the design, implementation, and maintenance of those internal controls. That is management's job. Now, a deficiency, this is just general deficiencies, because you can have deficiencies in design, implementation, and maintenance of those controls. And all three of those are critically important. Well, let's just say you don't design internal controls properly. Then it doesn't matter if you implement them properly or maintain them. They're just inherently flawed. Implementation, let's say you design perfect internal controls, but you don't set them up properly. It doesn't matter if they're perfect controls, and if you maintain them, then if they're not implemented properly, it's all for naught. Lastly, maintenance of those internal controls. If you design them perfectly and you implement them perfectly, however, you just don't do anything to maintain them and check them, then again, it's all wasted. Make sure, if you're ever in a management role, if you're listening to this, make sure that you put equal weighting to all three, that you design great controls, you implement them perfectly, and you maintain them. Now, a deficiency in internal control exists when the design or operation of a control does not allow management or employees in the normal course of performing their assigned functions to prevent or detect and correct misstatements on a timely basis. Now, a deficiency in a design, so you're setting up, okay, this is the step 1, step 2, step 3 of how the cash rec is going to be performed. That's designing internal controls. Or you're saying, okay, here's the flow chart of what's going to happen. We're going to integrate this with IT, obviously, so it's automated. But anytime an employee tries to get reimbursed for anything, the report gets sent to the manager, and the manager's got to approve it. Then it goes over to HR, and they just confirm that the employee still works there and they're in good standing, right? You have multiple checks, and that's proper design. Now, we could have deficiencies in that design when a control necessary to meet the control objective is missing, if we just don't have it, right? Or if an existing control is not properly designed, so that even if the control operates as designed, the control objective would not be met. You could have a control that is designed great, but it may not meet what you want to get from it. If you've got internal control that, like I said, with the authorization, properly make sure that someone is authorized to get a reimbursement from the company, right? The employee goes out, they drive their own car, so driving their own car, they're going to get reimbursed for mileage. That is not going to specifically give you comfort over, let's say, payroll, right? You need to have a specific internal control design for each specific result you want. Just like when we're designing audit procedures with, let's say, existence, confirmations, all of those are not going to necessarily verify every account balance, cutoff, completeness, all of those. You need to properly design these for each situation. Now, deficiencies in operation exist when a properly designed control does not operate as designed, or the person performing the control does not possess the necessary authority or competence to perform the control effectively. This is the constant maintenance of the control just in operation. So not in design. We talked about design, and then we've got design, as we said, and then we've got implementation, and then we've got maintenance. Now, just generally speaking, design is here, and then operation is going to be here. We operate them, we set them up, and then we maintain them. If whoever is in a certain position to maintain that control has no idea what they're doing, well, that's obviously going to be quite an issue, and then we're not going to be able to trust that internal control. I was hinting at them, and now we've got these terms here. We've got the actual terms of material weakness and significant deficiency. Right? These are not just, oh, a deficiency that's significant. These are real terms that you are going to need to actually put in your audit report per the AICPA. We've got these are actual definitions per the AICPA. So terms that I would memorize for sure. As a general note, we've got a hierarchy, simple one because there's only two terms here. Material weakness is going to be more significant. So in terms of the level of significance, it goes significant deficiency. Okay, it's a problem. Material weakness, bigger problem. Very much a bigger problem there. Let's go through what are these terms actually. Well, a material weakness is a deficiency or combination of such deficiencies in internal control such that there is a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement, and reasonable possibility is a pretty high level because reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance. So a reasonable possibility is a high possibility that a material misstatement of the entity's financial statements will not be prevented or detected and corrected on a timely basis. Let's just jump right into significant deficiency so we can see the difference. Now, a significant deficiency is one or a combination of many in internal control that is less severe than a material weakness, yet important enough to merit attention by those charged with governance. We're going to talk about the criteria for these, the use of the auditor's professional judgment in determining what constitutes a material weakness or deficiency. But just know, material weakness, something that needs to be corrected. Significant deficiency, it's less severe, but it still is going to be communicated to those charged with governance. Here is them in a nicer format. I just have them both here. Take a look. If you want to screenshot this, feel free, take notes. Definitely ones that you want to memorize. And we're going to dive more into. Let's talk about the severity of these deficiencies. Well, the auditor should evaluate the severity of each deficiency in internal control identified during the audit to determine whether the deficiency, individually or with other deficiencies, if it's a significant deficiency or a material weakness. Now, you could just have a deficiency that's just a normal deficiency, and it's an issue. It's a problem with your internal controls. But the issue might not be significant enough to be one of these classifications. Now, the severity of the deficiency depends on the magnitude of the potential misstatement, because what is our concern? As we mentioned before, our concern is the financial statements. It's not the internal controls. It's how the internal controls will affect the actual financial statements, and whether there's a reasonable possibility, we see that again, that the entity's controls will fail to prevent or detect and correct a misstatement of an account balance or disclosure. So the severity of a deficiency does not depend on whether a misstatement actually occurred. That's important because you're not going to look and see, oh, okay, just because it this lack of internal controls over the cash rec, there's no issues. It just, right, it wasn't getting properly approved. So let's just say someone was getting hired, doing the cash rec, but no one reviewed it, no one stamped it with approval. But when you went into the cash rec, there was no issue and the cash balance was accurately stated. Just because there's no issue doesn't mean you're not going to classify it as, let's say, a material weakness. Because there was no review and someone could have just completely messed up the cash rec, which let's say in turn would have messed up the financial statements through the cash balance, that still would be classified as obviously a massive issue such as these. The magnitude of these possible misstatements. Now, factors that affect the magnitude, the significance, the importance of a misstatement that might result from a deficiency or deficiencies include, but are not limited to, these, and this is per the AICPA, definitely a good reference to go with. The financial statement amounts or total of transactions that were exposed to the deficiency. Now, as we said, the cash rec, that's got exposure over all the cash transactions. So yeah, that's pretty significant. However, let's say that the company has very small amount of inventory. A multi-billion-dollar company, and maybe let's use Google again. Now, Google's search business may have, let's just say, a couple pieces of inventory, promo, pieces of inventory that they send out to their customers. So let's just say they've got $1,000 worth of inventory, for their entire search engine part of their business. Let's say there's a deficiency in internal control there. We don't really care. It's $1,000 for a multi-billion-dollar company. We are not very much concerned about that. $1,000 is quite immaterial, so we're not going to classify this as significant deficiency or material weakness, even if it is completely being misstated. It's just so irrelevant. Now, the volume of activity, that's also important in the current period or expected future periods in the account or class of transactions that were exposed to the deficiency. Now, in evaluating the magnitude of the potential misstatement, like we said, potential misstatement doesn't have to be an actual misstatement. The maximum amount by which an account balance or total of transactions can be overstated generally is the recorded amount, whereas understatements could be larger. taking notes here. Very important points to get down about this whole process. What are some factors that lead into the risk of deficiency? Well, risk factors affect whether there is a reasonable possibility that a deficiency, or as we say, a combination of deficiencies, will result in a misstatement of an account balance or disclosure. The factors include, but are not limited to, and again, these are some that are provided by the AICPA. We've got the nature of the financial statement accounts, classes of transactions, disclosures, and assertions involved. If they are more complex transactions, that's obviously a concern. The susceptibility of the related asset or liability to loss or fraud. When it comes to cash, there is much more concern over cash, much more susceptibility for cash than, let's say, maybe inventory for a company, or let's say physical PP&E. It's harder to steal a warehouse than it is to steal some cash out of the register. The subjectivity, complexity, or extent of judgment required to determine the amount involved. Now, obviously, if you've got an estimate or some other concern, something that's hard to value, particular investments may be hard to value, that could be a concern. The interaction or relationship of the control with other controls, the interaction among the deficiencies, and the possible future consequences of the deficiency. If maybe the deficiency is not a big deal right now, but it's a control over a new segment that we're going to be launching. Well, the segment doesn't exist yet, but in the future, when it does exist, maybe this deficiency is going to be really blow it out of the water and just be quite a concern for this new business segment. Evaluating deficiencies in relation to possible misstatements. We don't want to have any misstatements. We want to see if this deficiency could result in a possible misstatement. Well, the evaluation of whether a deficiency presents a reasonable possibility of misstatement may be made without quantifying the probability. So we can say, I mean, you can quantify it, sure, but you can also, say it qualitatively. Also, in many cases, the probability of a small misstatement will be greater than the probability of a large misstatement. That's just fair. I mean, the probability that you're going to have a massive issue, it's less likely. Just generally, the larger the issue, the more possibilities there are for people to catch it. Now, multiple deficiencies that affect the same significant account or disclosure, assertion, or component of internal control increase the likelihood of material misstatement. So if there are multiple issues within, let's say, the revenue cycle, there are multiple checks, right? In any cycle, there are just a lot of checks, a lot of internal controls. Now, if there are multiple deficiencies in multiple of those checks, then obviously that's going to result in an increased likelihood of concern, of issue. Let's see, even though such deficiencies individually may be less severe. So in the aggregate, as we're drilling down here, in the aggregate, all of these could come together and, again, show some sort of issue. Therefore, the auditor should determine whether deficiencies that affect the same significant account or disclosure, assertion, or component result in a significant deficiency or a material weakness. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.